Paradigms at paradigms.life, the radio show and podcast that brings you inspiring people with visions of a viable future for life on Earth that includes humans. Hi, I'm Baruch, host of Paradigms. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. We've got a wonderful guest. I know you've heard his music for decades. He used to be mostly known as a bass player, but he's been making some beautiful records with songs he's writing to uplift, to amuse, to connect. You're going to love this guy. So let's meet him right now on this episode of Paradigms. Freebo, welcome to Paradigms.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
I'm really glad to talk with you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm very well. I appreciate it. It's nice to be here. Nice to be anywhere.
Yeah, really. So a lot of listeners are going to know who you are. Some folks may not, but everyone's heard you play, whether they realize it or not, because you've been around for a while and you've played with everybody. And, so you're just part of our musical life, even when folks don't know it. But I'm really interested in how you got to playing music. Like, did you grow up in a musical family? How did you end up playing the bass? And just starting there.
Well, let me give you the whole story because it kind of feeds into my philosophy that, kind of like John Lennon famously said, life's what happens when you're busy making other plans. My plans, my family's plans. I think it's a difference between, who you were groomed to be and who you were meant to be. Turns out I was meant to be, I think, exactly who I am and where I'm at. I was groomed to be, a well-rounded, liberal human being with a college education, probably meant to be a doctor or a lawyer or a businessman. And my mother, in terms of wanting me to be well-rounded, gave me, and my brother, my brother 3 years older than I, gave us piano lessons. I guess he started at 5 or 6, and I started probably around 5, 6 myself. Obviously heard him play. The piano was there. The lessons, I think, gave me a clue into how music works, because with the piano, it's all in front of you. You got the bass to the left and the treble to the right, and you can see how chords are formed based off a scale. So I got basically the basic music language through that. My father loved classical music, so there was always classical music playing in the house. So I think that helps attune your ear to pitch. They would also go to shows, and we lived in a small, a coal town, eastern Pennsylvania. But they would go. My mom was from Philadelphia originally, but they would go to New York and see the Broadway shows, the Rodgers and Hammerstein stuff, West Side Story. I was actually fortunate to have seen. I think I was in high school, the original cast of West Side Story on Broadway.
Wow, cool.
Which was just really fabulous. So between classical music and show tunes and all the early Frank Sinatra stuff and Christmas carols, I loved Christmas carols. The a cappella choir used to come when I was in grade school. They would come to grade school and they would sing 4 parts. I was always enamored by the bass parts for some reason. I thought, boy, when I grow up and I get into high school and my voice changes, I want to be one of the bass singers in the choir. And I wound up doing that. So that kind of helped me give me, okay, what part does that play with all the other moving parts? As it went on, my dad taught me a couple chords on the ukulele. There was a toy ukulele around. He just showed me a couple chords. And that was no big deal, but I kind of learned those chords and I kind of learned how the 1-4-5 progression works with a song. Later on, in I think 9th grade, I was starting to play football. My mother said, "I want you to take an instrument in the band, any instrument at all." So I thought I'd take tuba, because my early influence was a record that my mother turned me on to, Tubby the Tuba, and that was where the tuba and all the instruments in the orchestra have a personality. And of course, this is all about the tuba going oompa, and he always wanted to play the melody. He finally gets to play the melody, and the instruments laugh at him. But finally, the orchestra says, "Tubby, let's hear the rest of it," and they all join in. It's a beautiful story and a wonderful piece of music. And the tuba is the hero of it. Once again, a bass instrument. So I took the tuba in 9th grade. I was also playing football, so I only played in the concert band. I didn't play in the marching band, but I did play in the marching band when we'd march around town for Memorial Day and Little League and 4th of July. And I loved swinging the sousaphone and playing Anchors Away and Funeral March and all the stuff that we do and, patriotic song. But once again, it was the part, the bass part of the song. So I learned how to listen. I learned how to play it. Between junior and senior high school, I went to a camp as a waiter, and I met a young woman who was a counselor there, and she was a Philadelphia folkie, and obviously she played guitar, and she showed me the basic 5-6 chords on the guitar. I could relate to that because the ukulele is the top 4 strings of that, so it's just a question of adding the 2 bottom string. So I could do that. I understood the concept. I went back at beginning of my senior year, and I told my band director, Mr. Mitchell, learn how to play guitar. And he said, wow, we've got this old Martin guitar that's been sitting in the closet for years, nobody playing it. You can have it for your senior year.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you. So now I have a guitar.
A nice one.
A nice one. Well, it actually had there were only 2 kinds of strings, and there were steel strings and gut strings. And the steel strings were really big and really heavy. They were like the cables on the Golden Gate Bridge. To get an E chord, I played and fingers would almost bleed, but just the sound of that was so cool. So I learned how to play that a bit. I had a buddy play football and basketball with, and he played guitar, and he showed me some chords, and we would pass the guitar back and forth in his 1951 Chevy late at night. And I would just play, and I would accompany people at parties. So that gave me my initial start with the guitar. So it's all coming together. I go off to school, to Swarthmore College, a very good East Coast liberal school. How I got in, I have no idea. Probably because I was an all-state football player. I was an all-state tuba player. I probably gave a great interview. And they said, we'll take a chance on this kid from a small town. And it turns out that, my high school education, what I learned, I should say, what I didn't learn, as opposed to these kids who went to prep schools and all the best high schools. There was such a gap, and it was just beyond me. I mean, I was simply not prepared for it. So plus, I had no interest in really learning anything except getting away from home and and just being out in the world and just learning by experience and in your sexuality and the whole thing and your freedom. Basically, I didn't do well in school. But for my junior year, my mom thought it would be a good idea to send me to school in Germany and to help, get me out of the draft. Vietnam was just starting to rage at that point. And it was a really good thing for me. And it turns out my roommate was a guy named Jerry Donahue. And Jerry was, I think I was 20, he was 18. And the very first day we were roommates, he was in the top bunk, I was in the bottom. And he pulled out a guitar and just started playing. And I really wanted to jam with him. I didn't have a guitar, so I went down the hall and borrowed a guitar from a friend, came back and just started plunking along and the bass registers. And he stopped playing. He said, where'd you learn how to do that? And I said, what? He said, that bass stuff you're doing. I said, I don't know. I just do it. I just kind of hear it. He said, well, you're a natural bass player. We got to get you a bass and we'll start a band. I went, okay. So we went out and we got it's a Framus bass for 50 marks, which is $12.50. And we all played out of the same amp and we started a band. And that was my first experience playing rock and roll.
I'm talking with Freebo, wonderful guy, played with just about everybody, and he's got some wonderful records out that we're talking about. We'll be back with more conversation and inspiration. But first we're going to hear some music. This one's called Standing Ovation from Freebo's album, If Not Now, When? You're listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.
If life is a comedy, the part that we play is never as clear as it could be. Or maybe a drama, who is to say? but it always turns out as it should be. And if I am a player who's played his part well and did it with humor and grace, when I die, give me a standing ovation, a celebration for a job well done. No need to cry, it's not my final destination. I'll be at the station when the train comes by. You write your own story as the pages unfold, but you're never quite sure of the ending. Maybe it's destiny, maybe it's choice, maybe we're all just pretending. In the tale of a lifetime, if it all comes around and you only receive what you're sending, when I die, give me a standing ovation, a celebration for a job well done. No need to cry, it's not my final destination. I'll be at the station when the train comes by. Some have it all, some work so hard for so little. We sink to the bottom and we rise to the top, but mostly wind up in the middle. The more we are different, the more we're the same. I'm just one more who's worked through the riddle. And when I die, give me a standing ovation, a celebration for a job well done. No need to cry, it's not my final destination. I'll be at the station when the train comes by. When I die, give me a standing ovation, a celebration for a job well done. No need to cry, it's not my final destination. I'll be at the station when the train comes by.
That's Freebo, Standing Ovation. Great song, as Freebo tells us about it. This interview was really fun, and it went on longer than they usually do. So what we're hearing in the episode is excerpts from the interview. If you'd like to hear the whole thing, and I highly recommend it, go to the Paradigms website, paradigms.life, and there's a link there to listen to the whole interview. All right, let's get back now to the next part of my conversation with Freebo.
Well, I first heard you on that first Bonnie Raitt album, and I know your vocal part from Bluebird by heart. And I've listened to it more times than I could possibly count. And then you just kept making music, and you were with Bonnie for that time, and then you kept going with other bands. And we're not going to cover everything, but coming to the present, you've got some amazing records out that I've been listening to. Your story doesn't completely tell us, but it gives us a pretty good hint about your humanism and your ethic, where you're coming from. And if people listen to your music, and they're going to hear some of it in this episode, your music is so personal and vulnerable and sweet and kind, while also being rock and blues. It was really, really a beautiful listen, I got to tell you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you love dogs, and I love dogs, and
I do.
I love your Dog People record, and it's just a hoot. And you're a mensch. You're one of these guys who's out there in the world doing good things, and your message is always one of love and kindness. And the songs that you write are always about, it seems to me, bringing awareness to the moment and how we're being in the moment. And so I wanted to talk with you because I think in this moment, this is really an important message and an important path for people to find and be delighted by.
Well, thank you for those compliments. I really appreciate that, Baruch. And I mean, part of that story, I think that the reason that you hear these songs of mine and that you feel the way you do about them is because at one point in my life, in my mid-40s, I decided to start writing songs. If I hadn't made that decision, they wouldn't exist. And I made that decision because I had what I call a burning, churning, yearning inside of me. It was a dis-ease. And I couldn't figure what it was about. And, I'd smoke a lot of pot and get high, do whatever to feel better. But I realized that at one point what was going on is that, and I think we all have this, we have an innate need to express ourselves. We all want to be seen. I think that's why we have the gift of language. And I felt I wasn't being seen for the person, the creative that I am. And of course, you tend to point the finger, and at some point you see 3 fingers pointing back at you. And I finally realized that, wait a second, this is on me. If I want people to see me the way I would like to be seen, I need to show myself that way. And creatively, I've always felt very creative. And as a bass player, I think I'm a good bass player, not because I have great technique or chops, as they say, but from all my experience of playing the tuba and singing a cappella and listening, I kind of know what bass note fits with what chord, because I know how the chords work and everything. So I think it's about the choices that I make. Well, I also have other choice in terms of rhythm and maybe what the guitar player should play and what the drummer should do and how the singer should sing this. I had ideas and I had nowhere to put them. As a bass player, I only had a small fraction, of the whole input where I could put it. And that's where I decided I need to start writing song because I need to fully express myself. And that has taken me on a spiritual journey, a lot of which comes through in my songs, about fear, about working through it, about choice. And so in my mid-40s, I did start to do that. And now I'm working on my 6th record. And so these songs are coming out, and all my musical ideas and production are coming out. And the new record I just produced by Alice Howe in Muscle Shoals, that record is coming out in another couple of weeks. And so I feel at this point in my life, in my 70s, I'm finally fully able to channel all of the ideas, all of the creativity in me, my spirit, and put it into the right place to where someone like you can hear it and they get a sense of who I am. It's not even as much as like, hey, you know who I am, but it's that need to express yourself. I think it's the best part of ego, and if it's balanced with the worst parts, you do that. So, and then in terms of the songs that I write, musically, they come from all these different backgrounds, all of the, the Bernstein and the Beethoven and Stravinsky and the John Philip Sousa and the Frank Sinatra and the Louis Armstrong and the Fats Domino and Little Richard and the Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan and Jimi Hendrix. It goes on, right? And the Christmas Carol, musically, it finds its way. Lyrically, it comes from the place that I would say spiritually, I think spirit it is all about the connection to all things. I think that's what spirit is. It's and to be a spiritual being is not to be holier than thou, but it's just to be aware. For me, that's just me speaking, but it's to be aware of all the things around you, and not just close, but everything. And that means everybody, and that means all of nature and all the animals and all of history, and because we all ask, why am I here? And I've asked that my whole life. Why am I here? What's my purpose? What's this all about? What's this existence? What am I going to do with my life? And it's not just about, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to make money, and I'm going to be able to pay the rent and get a car. There's got to be more than that. And so for me, my journey has been, I think, to go, okay, this is about being connected to all things. I love communication. I love people. I love connecting with people. I love connecting to all things. And again, that's the spirit. And I think it finds its way into my music. And I think by definition, if you are connected to all things, by definition, you're going to find compassion. You're going to find kindness. You're going to find empathy, because you'll be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, including the ant that you used to step on or the bug you used to kill. All of a sudden say, wait a second, I have no right to do that unless it's about to kill me. All right, I get the self-defense thing. But otherwise, live and let live. So I think all of this philosophy that I've been able to develop, through my life has somehow found its way into my music. And what I love about songwriting is you can take a lyric that says something in the language, and that has a certain emotional content, the philosophic content. But when you put music underneath it, now you have an emotional cushion for that just augments that. So for me, songwriting is just the ultimate in how you can truly communicate who you are, how you feel, your picture of the world. And I think that's what artists do. We present a picture of how we see the world. It's not good, it's not bad, but it's personal. And I found that the more personal I can get, the more honest I can get, the more intimate I can get, the more successfully I can communicate how I feel. And in the process, I get that mirrored back to me from other people. And that to me is a complete cycle of communication. And to me, that's really satisfying.
I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Freebo. This is a human who is really here to contribute. Here's some more music. This one's called When There's No Place Like Home, from Freebo's album, Something to Believe.
I used to be your neighbor. I had my job and I had my pride, but they shipped them both to China, and it ripped a hole inside. They took my house last summer. Now I'm hungry, cold, and scared, and I'm wondering, does anybody care? When there's no place like home, and you're out on your own, you feel abandoned and alone. When there's no place like home. I used to be a hero, the strong, the proud, the few. When duty called, I stood up tall for the red, white, and blue. But no hero's welcome waited when my damaged soul returned. Uncle Sam don't give a damn, that's what I learned. There's no place like home when you're out on your own. You feel abandoned and alone when there's no place like home. Please don't look right past me. A simple smile could help me make it through. I could be you. If home is where the heart is, then where's the heart supposed to go? When your living room's a cardboard box and your address is Skid Row. If a man's home is his castle and the place where he is king, what happens when he loses everything? There's no place like home when you're out on your own. You feel abandoned and alone when there's no place like home. When there's no place like home. There's no place like home.
That's When There's No Place Like Home from the album Something to Believe by Freebo. And now let's get back to my conversation with Freebo. This is Paradigms at paradigms.life. Let's talk about the music, okay? I want to hear about the new record you're making, but let's talk about the most recent one that you did, If Not Now, When, which has just got some great songs on it. Really, really beautiful. There's some funny stuff. There's some very serious stuff. There's some stuff that's obviously very personal about you. I want to talk about Standing Ovation because I just think it's such a beautiful, humble treatise to all of us to be our best selves.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Thank you. And I think that's definitely one of my favorite songs of mine. And it came about, I literally was at a funeral of a friend, and I was just there to, honor that person. And in the process, I just started thinking about funerals in general and what they're about and life, and you're born, you die. And I started thinking about my own funeral, and I started thinking about my own life. And okay, well, gosh, what's it going to be like at my funeral? I know I'll be there, and I wonder what it's going to be like, and I wonder what people are going to say about me. And well, gosh, I hope they say good things about me. And well, whatever they say about me is going to be based on who I am in my life. And I just kind of started thinking about that whole process. And in that process, I've actually pictured my funeral. There I am, And in that picture, I'm picturing the coffin. I'm kind of in the back looking at the coffin and looking at all these people there. And in my little dream, in my little moment, people stood up and gave me a standing ovation. And I thought, whoa, what a cool thing that would be. What a wonderful tradition that would be to get a standing ovation at your funeral. And I just got chills. It was very, very emotional. And of course, I think a little bit deeper. I think, well, in order to get that standing ovation, you have to deserve it, right? So you have to work hard for it and to get the standing ovation. And that made me think about the life you live. And the words came, when I die, give me a standing ovation. And in my rhyme scheme, the way I think, when I die, give me a standing ovation, a celebration for a job well done, right? And that was pretty much as far as I got. And and it finally went to, it went to the rest of the song. And it made me think like, okay, so I really want to write a song about that and about your life. And that to me is what songwriting, why it's like such a beautiful craft, is that you have basically 4 minutes to say something you really want to say, and you want to be poetic, and you want it to work musically, and you really want to say what you want to say, but you only have 4 minutes to do it. And it's not a novel, and it's not a symphony, it's a song. And so you have to craft it into this very small space. And so it came out to be 3 verses. And, I started with, if life is a comedy, Shakespeare, if life is a comedy, the part that we play. And I kind of was never as clear as it could be. And I went, well, comedy, well, maybe a drama, comedy drama, who's to say, but it always turns out as it should be. Right now, I don't quite know what that means, but it turns out the way it's going to turn out.
It sure does.
But ultimately, I wanted to get to the point of, but it's I have some input in how it's going to turn out. I have choice, and so it puts it in, like second verse goes, you write your own story, as the pages unfold, but you're never quite sure of the ending. Maybe it's destiny, maybe it's choice, maybe we're all just pretending. In the tale of a lifetime, if it all comes around, karma, right? And you only receive what you're sending, karma. When I die, give me a standing ovation if I deserve it, So I wanted to put that in there, not like, hey, give me a standing ovation. It's like, if I deserve it, and for anybody. And what I found, a lot of people have asked either me to play the song at their funeral or celebration or have it played. And I'm honored that a lot of people have actually done that, because that's what you want to do with a song. Yes, it's personal. I do it in first person, but I'd like to make it universal. And the fact that it speaks to you makes me very proud, that I feel, what, I feel like I accomplished what I set out to accomplish in the song. And then musically, when I die, da da da. What I learned from classical music is there's a motif. Beethoven, like da 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 da. It's a 4-note motif. When I die, and so da da da. So when I die, give me a standing ovation. And so musically, when I die, da da da, I had that motif answered by a French horn, my favorite instrument in the world. Just love, and French horn is very, very majestic. So here I was able to take the classical music that my father played for me with Richard Strauss tone poems, with some great French horn stuff, and kind of take that, and it found its way into this song like 60 years later.
Hearing that horn part was just like, it's so delicious.
Thank you. It is delicious, and it's the right instrument, and I'm the composer in this place, and I'm the arranger, and I'm the orchestrator. So this is rock orchestration. The orchestration in rock music is electric bass, drums, keyboard, some sort, guitar, acoustic, electric guitar, vocals, horns if you put them in, strings, whatever. But so I chose to orchestrate it. I could never do that as a bass player. I could say, hey, how about a French horn? Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe we'll see. Okay, play your bass part. And I used to, get pissed off at these people for not seeing me but like I said, so I had to do it myself. I had to make the choice to own that. And that's a difficult choice, because it doesn't just happen. You have to work at it. Again, to be at this point in my life and have somebody like you want to interview me on this and talking about and take a song like that I'm very proud of. The journey to get to that place, is a really interesting, and a long journey.
Another song I want to talk about is When There's No Place Like Home. It's a powerful piece of work.
Thank you. Well, it speaks to two things. I think in the folk world, and I am somewhat in the folk world when I get up with an acoustic guitar by myself in a solo show, I'm a folk singer. I may be a rock and roll bass player, or a blues bass player, or whatever, but, I'm a fairly eclectic guy. I think it's why Bonnie and I really related, because her music comes from a lot of different places, and folk and blues and rock, and I'm the same way. That's exactly why I related. But when I play guitar, there I am, folk guy. So in the folk world, there is tradition, of talking about social issues. And, when you see homeless people, it's just so sad. And none of these people ever intended to be homeless. It just kind of happened in all sorts of ways. And I wanted to write a song about that. And I really didn't know how to go or where to go. And I got in touch with a good friend of mine, a woman named Karen Taylor Good. And I do that a lot. I like to co-write because I can't do it all myself. Sometimes I can do it, most of it, occasionally all of it. But if I'm just not sure where to go, I'll get in touch with another creative who might have a way to help jumpstart me. And once that happens, like, oh, okay, I can hop on board, and, our dribbles are working, and we're doing just fine. So I got in touch with Karen. I said, Karen, I want to write a song about homelessness. She said, okay. And we got together, and between the two of us, we came up with this, and we came up with a couple different characters, the guy who loses his job, and then a little bit of politics in there. They ship the job to China, which happens a lot. I've watched that whole social thing happen where everything was made in America, and bit by bit, people figured, hey, if we have the people over here make it for a lot cheaper, I can make a much bigger profit. And that has just, to me, destroyed the blue collar workers' concept of being able to make a really nice living in this country.
We're going to listen to a couple of dog songs from Freebo, and then we'll be back with the final part of our conversation. This is just a plug. Support your local animal shelter. If you can foster a stray cat or dog, do so. You're doing a really good thing. Here's a song called She Loves My Dog More Than Me.
Once upon a time, everything was so fine, cozy, just my baby and me. I was so well fed, I had my breakfast in bed, I was happy as a man can be. Then my buddy called up, had the cutest little pup, I couldn't help but take him in. Little did I know her affection would go to my new little four-legged friend. Now she loves my dog more than me. She loves my dog more than me. I love my dog, and she loves my dog, but she loves my dog more than me. We were lying by the fire, burning with desire, when suddenly to my chagrin, as the fire got to stoking, came a cold nose a-poking, somewhere it should not have been. I thought she'd shoo him away, but she told him to stay. It kinda took me out of the zone. Now a man's best friend gets a girl in the end, and I'm left holding the bone. Cause she loves my dog more than me. She loves my dog more than me. I love my dog, and she loves my dog, but she loves my dog more than me. So I'm sitting here fuming while he's getting all the grooming. That ain't how it's supposed to be. Well, I don't hate him, but I got an ultimatum. Baby, it's the dog of me. Well, I got a reply as she let me outside, and she handed me my people chow. Now I'm howling at the moon while he's up in my room, and I'm in the doghouse now. Cause she loves my dog more than me. She loves my dog more than me. I love my dog, and she loves my dog, but she loves my dog more than me. Play it for me, Shane. Get down. Do it gracefully. So I'm back in the bed with the dog at the head. We're a nuclear family, and I accept my fate. This little debate, because this ain't no democracy. From the moment he came, it's been a doggone shame that she loves my dog more than me. Yes, she loves my dog more than me. She loves my dog more than me. I love my dog, she loves my dog, but she loves my dog more than me. Everybody sing it. She loves my dog more than me. She loves my dog more than me. I love my dog, she loves my dog, but she loves my dog more than me. tell you about my baby. She's all legs and hair. We spend our time together, really quite a pair. She is always in a good mood. She's just as happy as can be. She's my sweet little angel. She's my D.O.G. Well, she's never angry, and she's never sad. She's like no other woman. She's the best I ever had. I don't have to do the dishes. I do anything I please. This bitch is never bitchy. She's my D.O.G. Let's listen to Jerry Donahue, Ray Garbo. Albert Lee. Okay, Jerry, top that one, would you? What'd you think of that one, Garbo? Tickle them ivories for me, Froggy. Well, I come home sad and lonely. She's been at home all day, but she runs and greets me in a most enthusiastic way. And then we hang together. I mean, we hang together. She's my sentimental sweetie. She's my D.O.G. Well, my baby's always faithful. She never strays too far. When I see my lover, she goes with me in the car. And while I'm making whoopee, she watches patiently. And when I'm done, she'll kiss me. She's my D.O.G. That's right, folks. When I'm done, she'll kiss me. She's my D.O.G. Ooh, yeah. I love you, Garbo. Yes, I
She's My D.O.G. That's Freebo from his album Dog People. Before that, She Loves My Dog More Than Me. I think some of us have experienced being on different sides of that equation. All right, here's the final part of my conversation with Freebo.
There's also something else you do in your music that I really love. You call out people for solos. And you call out Albert Lee, and I'm immediately transported to my first Emmylou Harris concert with the Hot Band. You know, and it's like hearing you call out people's names. Firstly, it's obviously you generously welcoming their gift and appreciating it, and acknowledging them, and what you said about being seen. But it's also clear that you are a collaborator. You love to collaborate with people, and that's a beautiful thing. That's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, I do like to collaborate, and that's what it is. I mean, again, we talk about the human condition and connection, and spirituality. It's all a collaboration. I mean, we're collaborating with spirit, we're collaborating. If you want to call it God, fine. We're collaborating with God, we're collaborating with nature, we're collaborating with each other, we're collaborating with time. It's all a collaboration. We're not alone. And whenever you think you're alone, I mean, there are times when you're alone, and that's when you have, okay, what's this about? How can I collaborate, and where and when should I collaborate? And when should I not? So I like that. I've always been a team player. I'm fortunate I grew up in this little coal town in Pennsylvania. I did play football. I did play basketball. I did play baseball. I learned teamwork. I learned stuff like Leo DeRocher, I think, was the manager of the New York Giants before they moved to San Francisco. His famous phrase, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game that counts. Unfortunately, that's not the case now. It's not how you play the game, it's whether you win or lose.
Yeah, it's all about the winning and losing.
It's all about the winning and losing. And that to me, that's just wrong. So I like to give credit when credit is due. I like to receive credit. I'm human. I like to be called ladies and gentlemen. It's just, well, thank you. I mean, we all want to get our little moment, right? I mean, we're human. It's
Sure.
okay. But at the same time, I mean, it wouldn't be fair if I want my moment, but if I don't give it to somebody else. So once again, I think that's the fairness, that's the kindness. To me, it's just simple math. It's like, hey, it's a 50-50 deal, You get back what you send out. So, you want people to be kind to you, you better be kind to them. You want people to smile at you, maybe you got to smile first. Took me years to figure that out. How come nobody's smiling at me? I started smiling, and my God, people start smiling back.
It's that simple.
It is that simple.
My mother taught me smiling at people, you might make someone's day, and you'll never know it.
Right.
The other thing she taught me is it's really hard to be in a bad mood when you smile. I want to ask you about one more song and what goes with it, which is She's My DOG.
That's my first dog song, by the way.
Well, that whole record is really fun. And it's clear, though, that you really love dogs. And for those of us who really love and appreciate dogs as being some of our dearest friends, I just wanted to ask you about you and dogs.
Well, I mean, that was inspired by my first of 3 golden retrievers, Garbo. And I've had dogs my whole life. I've always liked dogs. I think maybe I was a dog in a past life. Again, dogs are so communicative, and they want to be with you. I'm not crazy about cats. Probably beautiful animals, but they're kind of in their own world. They'll be friendly when they feel like it. A dog, to me, especially when you get to know a dog, they're always with you. They're totally connected to you. I love connection. So to me, dogs are very spiritual human beings, at least, especially when you have and you make that connection
Absolutely.
with your dog, and there's nothing like it. And it's unconditional love. I mean, where else do you get unconditional love? Not from people as much as you'd like to, but, and so, I mean, when a dog passes, for somebody who's never had that connection, they don't get it. They don't get it why you're sometimes even more sad than when a person passes, because you've had a completely unique connection. It's been nothing but love, never judgment, never of any sort, always acceptance, on your bad days and your good days, are just there for you. And to me, there's just something very special about that. So I was kind of fooling with blues. And let me tell you about my baby. She's all legs and hair. There's just some little funny references. And I mean, that one I wrote by myself. And originally it was a blues song, but I went, let me tell you again. And I thought, it sounds too serious. And that's when I kind of and I got, Albert Lee and Jerry Donahue to play on it. And they just killed it. They killed it. It was just so much fun. And that led to, I've actually I think with Maria Muldaur, I'm not sure, but I just thought about doing a record. But she said something like that, and she suggested Old Shep. And I went, oh. So now I started looking for dog song by other people and wrote a few others on my own. And then my latest one on
Old Blue.
on the Old Blue, that was the very first song I learned from the folkie in the summer camp. That was one of the few songs she taught me was Old Blue, Joan Baez's version. Right. So I thought, well, I got to put that one on there. And then on the latest record, on If Not Now When, I came up with She Loved My Dog More Than Me, which I play in shows and get everybody singing along with it. And it's amazing how many people relate to that.
Oh, yeah, that's a true song for lots of folks, I'm sure.
It is. Yeah. So it just kind of happened.
Well, hearing those songs, I immediately knew something about you. People who love dogs. There's something about people who love dogs. I don't have the right words for it, but there's something about being able to be in that kind of relationship with that kind of love and to care for someone who in the human world is at risk, frankly. And for us to take care of these little short, hairy people and treat them with the respect they deserve. People now are it's become a common thing to say, oh, well, dogs are angels. They really, unless they are traumatized, and even often then, they really are just loving. That's really all they've got, along with their instinctual behaviors. And, well, I've learned more from dogs probably than I've learned from any people. Let's just put it like that. I'm a better person for every dog that's been in my life.
I don't disagree with you. You're absolutely right. Yeah, very, very special beings.
Freebo, this has been really fun. I am so glad that we did this, and thank you for making yourself available and for sharing yourself with us, because that's what it's all about.
Well, thank you, Baruch, and thank you for seeing me as a person I'd like to be seen as, and for asking me and getting in touch, and for doing what you do, to bring out, who you are and the way you connect to people like me and other people, and to just bring to your listeners the many sides of the human condition. I really appreciate that. So very happy to be a part of that. Honored, honestly.
Thank you. Everyone who gets to listen to this show, hopefully, is fed by all these amazing people like you. So this is what we're here for.
Absolutely. Well, tell them to go to freebomusic.com, and they can kind of find out pretty much what I'm up to. And anybody who wants to get in touch, my email is freebo@freebomusic.com. So it's always nice to talk to the fans and, again, communicate. So once again, thank you so much, Baruch. Really appreciate it.
Freebo, thank you so much for talking with me, for being on the show, and for being who you are, putting out beautiful music into the world that encourages us to connect, to find humor, to find love. Check out his website, freebomusic.com, FREEBO music.com. Listen to his records. Can't wait for the new one. I love what he was saying, He loves to connect. It's all about connecting. That spirit is the connection between all life. I'll go along with that. So let's honor that. If you enjoyed this episode of Paradigms, I hope you'll check out our website at paradigms.life, where, among other things, you can find this interview in its entirety. Paradigms has a Patreon campaign going to raise money to help pay the bills. There's no corporation behind this show. It all comes out of my pocket. So I'd love it if you'd visit the Paradigms Patreon campaign at patreon.com/paradigms and become a supporter. Thank you. I love this interview. Freebo is truly an inspiration to me. We're going to go out with one more song from his album Before the Separation. It's called We Are All One People. And let's let the word for the week be connection. Let's notice our connections, strengthen them, feed them, feel the connection with all of life. You can do that. Just close your eyes and breathe and feel the connection. All right. Baruch signing off for this episode of Paradigms. We'll be back next time with more inspiring people. Until then, connect and be well.
You and I are both the same. We are all one people. Open hearts and open minds. We want to be peaceful. We all live in one big world, all the boys and all the girls. You and I are both the same. We are all one people. I am you and you are me. We are all each other, all the young and all the old. You are all my brother. We all live in one big land. We all play in one big band. All the children holding hands. We are all one people. Children holding hands. We are all one people. We are all one people. We are all one people.
You've been listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.